no, I grew up in a very small town. Maybe 2,500 people lived there. And very, very small kind of like area, secluded, like 6 hours out of Vancouver area. I was the only kid with a case, me and my younger brother. And we got picked on and beaten up our whole lives, like up until we were like 12, 13 years old especially. Like it was like a daily struggle. Our ramals would be ripped off, our case can would be ripped off. First day I wore at the start of school was my first day of high school. I was 12 turning 13, and I tied a small dastard for the first time to go to high school. When I was sitting in like the cafeteria area, somebody that was like 4 or 5 years older than me, this Gora ripped my dastard actually off the back of my head. And he actually ran to the washroom and he threw it in the toilet. And then I had to, a lot of people were laughing and this and the other as to what happened, because small town, kind of the culture. So I went and, now you can imagine, like as in like, 12, 13-year-old that happens to, and then half the school is watching, and then you have to get up and kind of, I had a hood, like jackets. I put the hood over my head. I went to the washroom. I found my dastard that was in a toilet. They take it out of there and like wash it in the washroom. I went home, and then those things continuously happened like as I was growing up, and the physical kind of like like getting beaten up a lot, and there's too many people to fight. When I was like 14, 15, I grew quite a bit, let's just say, and I started wrestling and I started like working out, and I started like take bats to school, like as in like. But I want to for a couple of years, like, and then some of my friends got bigger, and we were all kind of like in one grade. There's 10, 12 of us. We would literally walk to school together. I think I'm leading to somewhere with this as well. We would walk to school together. We would leave school together. We had meeting points, no one alone. Even when we were moving around in the town, that everyone together, 10, 15, Monday. And we had a little crew then, right? There was safety in that crew. There was belonging in that crew. Like, as in that became kind of like my place. But I read a lot about Sikhi. I read a lot about like as an itihas as I was growing up, but I wasn't into it at all. Like I felt like as a child that was growing up there, I felt Sikhi was the problem in my life. That if I didn't look like this, I wouldn't have all these problems. These gore wouldn't be like picking on me as much. And this is gonna sound like it might make me sound like an idiot, but like as in like I'll tell you, but it's the mind of a child, right? Like I go think back now, the things I used to do. I used to do mool mantra. My mom used to tell me that raat mein mool mantra karke kari ja until you just fall asleep, right? So I would do mool mantra at night. When I remember like a little kid, little gutti on my head, and like as in like maybe like 7, 8 years old, mool mantra karna, and my mool mantra ardas was that make me white when I wake up in the morning. And it's such a conflict of everything.
Like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, well, even worse, like as in just somehow magically make me white, not through like some weird operations, but the mind of a child is that if I was white, I wouldn't have these problems, right? And I moved away from Sikhi when I was in my teenage years. I didn't cut my case though. This is really odd to me. I didn't cut my case at all, not even trim or anything like that. I didn't drink. I didn't do any drugs or anything like that, but I became kind of a leftist because naturally it's just kind of like as in like you pick up politics and you start looking at people like Che Guevara and all these so-called leftist heroes in the world, and you start aligning yourself to them, and a lot of their BS starts making sense after a while, and it shouldn't. And then I don't know what happened when I came to Surrey. Minu pehli baar ithe Sangat mili in Surrey, and it was through Jathedar Trivandra Singh Babar's sons. I ran into them somewhere, and they gave me space. They gave me a home. I was out here to go to school. I was by myself. I could have easily gone in a different direction, but they gave me Sangat for the first time. The first time I had belonging, like within a sixth space. My first interaction with them, I'll tell you this. I used to have like those little pataka ja karke piche nu shut dena, like as in like young jakke do these days, or back in those days at least they used to. That you don't even tie a proper pag, you just have a little pataka on your head, but it just looks like a little do-rag or something. And I went to their house, and I remember I was talking to the older son, Jaswinder Singh, and I was just chatting with them. And then the younger son, Narendra Singh, came, and he came in and he saw me, and he's a big guy as well, and I'm a big guy, and he's standing there. And then he's like looking at me, and then Jaswinder Singh was like, oh, this is Maninder, Nindi, this and the other. And I said Fateh to him, and before he said Fateh, he said to me, he's like, where the F is your pug? And I was like... And then he started laughing. He's like, yeah. He's like, it does, Surya. It does. He goes, why are you wearing a pug? And he's like, Jaswinder, go get a pug. And then literally he tied a pug on me, sitting right there. I never took it off after that. That was actually when I started wearing a proper dasta. Then we got into Gurdwara, we got into camps, and we got into all this stuff. So there was a struggle there, like as a child with Sikhi. Once I got into it, I didn't really, I feel, look back. I took things very literally in life, that if fear was going to dictate what I was doing, that it wasn't going to bode well, like at the end of the day. I didn't want to be dictated by fear. I wanted to take risks in life. I always felt like you can't be a buggy if you just tattoo it on your back or on your arm. That's not what a buggy is at the end of the day. I was thinking, buggy ja badshah. It's like, what makes you buggy though? Like, well, what is it? Does the state want your head? Have they put out a hit on you? Do they want you arrested? Do you job somebody in the state side so much with your speaking, your writing? What do you do that makes you buggy? Rather than, hey, I'm a buggy, right? And I was like, I wanted to be a buggy. Like I said, if I'm gonna be a buggy, I'm gonna be a proper buggy then. Like as in, like, let them chase me, let them try to find me, let them try to corner me. Like as in, like, main hatna nahi. And I had that in my mind for a really long time. And I'm trying to, I always remind myself of that what am I doing that's actually buggy?
Someone who does not have this bibek, who does not have this wisdom, that person will see that this body and Atma is just the same thing. Then you will have people saying like, you know, you are going to die, might as well live your life, enjoy your life, you only live once. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Welcome to another episode of Sikhan di Pagadmala, where we explore the Sakhis of Gursikhs from the time of Guru Angad Dev Ji this time, as mentioned by Bhai Gurdas Ji and retold by Shahid Bhai Mani Singh Ji. So today's Sakhi is going to be about Bhai Paro Julka Paramhans, a Sikh of Guru Angad Dev Ji. So Bhai Gurdas Ji in Pauri number 15, they say, Paro Julka Paramhansa, Pure Sadgur Kirpaa Tari. Bhai Paro Julka was a Paramhansa. So now what is a Paramhansa? Param means supreme, Hansa is a swan. So here it's a metaphor stating that Bhai Paro Julka was a supreme Sikh, the greatest of the greatest Sikh. Pure Sadgur Kirpaa Tari. And how did he become a Paramhans? Was when the Pura Sadguru, the complete Guru, Guru Angad Dev Ji, blessed him with it. So here Bhai Paro Julka Ji one day comes to Guru Angad Dev Ji and they do a benti. They ask Guru Sahib, Ki Sache Pacha, who is a Paramhans and what are the qualities of a Paramhans? So Guru Angad Dev Ji was very pleased with Bhai Paro Julka asking such a valuable question. And Guru Sahib says that, Bhai Paro Julka Ji, I will tell you who a Paramhans is, and by listening to the Sakhi and by contemplating on it, you too will become a Paramhans, and those who do your Sangat, they also will get the Padvi, the status of a Paramhans. Now, before we go into the description of a Hansa, a Paramhans and their qualities, I want to share with you another pauri that Bhai Gurdas Ji speaks about when it comes to Paramhansa as well. So Bhai Gurdas Ji, in their var, there's a pauri which is called Sad Sangatam Man Sarovar. It means that Man Sarovar is the lake, is the place which is also the Sad Sangat. So Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Man Sarovar Akhiye Upar Hansa Suvansa Vasande. Bhai Gurdas Ji says that there is this place called Man Sarovar, and in this lake, the greatest breed of swans, Hansa, they live there. And what do? Moti Manaka Manasar Chona Chona Hansa Amol Chugande. So Bhai Gurdas Ji says that these breed of swans, they only consume Manak Moti, pearls and jewelries from the bottom of the lake. And then Bhai Gurdas Ji continues and they say, Kheer neer nirvarde, lahari andar firan tarande. Kheer neer nivarde, which means that they have the quality to separate milk and pani, and they only consume that milk. So now Guru Angad Dev Ji is explaining the same thing. Guru Angad Dev Ji says, swans, jere hans hunde, they dive deep into the lake, which is here the Mansarovar lake, and they only consume pearls. Then Guru Angad Dev Ji says that these swans, when you put a mixture of milk and pani in front of them, they are able to separate the milk and the pani. How? Because their beak, their chonja is khatti, is sour. So when they keep pecking on the mixture of milk and pani with their sour beak, what will happen is that the milk will start to curdle and it will start to separate from the pani. And these ones then, they leave the pani, they do not consume the water, and they only consume the milk curdle, which means that they have the ability to separate what is good for them and what is not good for them, then leave it out. Now, Guru Angad Dev Ji is explaining who is a Paramhans. So if we know that Hansa are swans, now we're talking about Paramhans, means the greatest of the greatest. And here is speaking about a Gursikh. Guru Angad Dev Ji says a Paramhans is someone who picks out the gems, the jewels and the pearls. And for us Sekhar, what is that? That is Gurbani. And Guru Sahib here says something very, very important that all of us should understand as well. Guru Sahib kende, by a Sekhar, listening, reading and contemplating on Gurbani. So there's three things here that we need to do when it comes to Gurbani. Listen to Gurbani, read Gurbani and contemplate, means to do vichar of Gurbani. Sunya, manya, manikita pao, when we read in Japji Sahib. Now when we do these three things, what do we get? Guru Angad Dev Ji says, out of this, from Gurbani, you will get 10 babbe. And what are they? First one is Bibek, second one Buddhi, and third one is Bichar. So what is Bibek? Bib-ek means the ability from duality to come into ekta, to come into oneness. So Bibek is the wisdom to be able to identify what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, who is Paramatma, what is this body. Wisdom to understand reality. Then comes the second one, which is Buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. Now when we have good wisdom and good knowledge, only then our intellect will help us to do proper reasoning. So if someone from a young age have not been given good knowledge, good wisdom, when they grow up, that wisdom and knowledge that they have been getting from a very young age will affect their reasoning and decision making, which is based on the intellect. So Guru Sahib says, Bibek and Buddhi. Intellect, should the Buddhi will help the Sekhar to make good reasoning. Is this thing good for me? If I do bhakti, is it good for me? If I mix around with these people, is it going to help me in my bhakti? Intellect. And the third one is Bichar. Bichar means contemplation, which means that when we read Gurbani, we contemplate what is Guru Sahib trying to tell us. Or when something is happening around us, we must pause and do Bichar. Is this good for me? How is this going to benefit me? How is it that me mixing around with the world, listening to Chugli Nindya or thinking bad about others, how is it going to affect me and help me? If it's not going to help me, then intellect, make a decision and step away from it. If it is going to help me in my bhakti, use your buddhi and reason with it and do it. So Guru Sahib says, by you listening, reading and contemplating on Gurbani, you will get Bibek, Buddhi and Bichar. And these three babbe, this will become the beak of a Gursikh. And when this beak, a Gursikh gets these three babbe, that beak of theirs will help them to differentiate between Satya and Asatya, truth and false. So now in this next part, Guru Angad Dev Ji is going to dwell a bit into Brahm Gyan knowledge. It might be a bit deep, a bit difficult to understand, but it is very important for us to learn on what is true and what is not true. So Guru Sahib says that the body and soul, Sarir and Atma, has been entwined into one entity. So now what you see in front of a camera, if you're looking at me, this body is what you see, but within this body is the life force, which is the Atma, that's giving me this energy, this strength to speak, to sit and to do, to act out in my daily life. A Paramhans is someone who can easily differentiate the body and the Atma. Someone who does not have this Bibek, who does not have this wisdom, that person will see that this body and Atma is just the same thing. Then you have people saying like, you are going to die, might as well live your life, enjoy your life, you only live once. So those kind of people do not understand that body and Atma are two different entities entwined into one. So a Paramhans is able to recognize three qualities of the body and three qualities of the Atma, which we are going to learn in this video as well. So what are the three qualities of the body? The body is Asata, Jada and Dukhi. Three qualities of the Atma is Sata, Cheta, Ananda. So now let's go through each quality of the body and the soul. Now, why is the body Asata? Asata means something that's not true, something that's not permanent. Because why? If we look at ourselves now, we were a child, our body was different. Every year our body is changing. I look like this now, but I'm not going to look like this 5 years down the road, which means that it's constantly changing, and something that's always changing cannot be permanent, cannot be true. And this body, when we die, there's no guarantee that we're going to get the same body in our next janam. So again, we do not know about this. So it's asata, perishable, is not true. The soul, Atma, is sata. Why is it sata? Because the life force that's within me, that's running my body, that's giving me this energy, has been the same for all my past janams. How can I say that? Because I'm in this jivan, I'm in this life, I'm actually paying for my karam from my past life. And the karam that I'm committing in this life, I will be paying either in this life or in the next life. So the question here is, what is that thing that was there in the beginning, in the past, it's still here, and it will be there in the future, helping me to pay my karam? And the answer is Atma. So it was there, it is here, and it will be there, which means that it's permanent, unchanging, and constant, which means that it's Sata. Second thing, Gurbani also says, Atma Paratma eko kare, antar ki dubda antar mare. That Atma and Paramatma is one. And when we believe that Paramatma is constant, unchanging, that Waheguru is everywhere, Aad Sach, Jugad Sach, Happy Sach, Nanak Hosi Pi Sach, then the qualities of Paramatma is also the same as the qualities of Atma. Now, the second characteristics of the body, Jada. Jada means something who does not recognize itself. Now, when this body becomes lifeless, which means if you look at a dead body and you ask the dead body, do you know who you are? Can you move? Can you recognize yourself? You cannot expect an answer from it. If you look at this chair, you look at the wall behind me, or you look at the table, ask the table or the chair, do you know who you are? Can you do something about yourself? Can you change your life? Can you become a Brahmgyani? They are inanimate. They are jadaru. They do not know who they are. They cannot move or do anything by themselves unless we do sit down, move the table, paint the wall, or do something with it. So, Jadaru. The Atma, on the other hand, is Chetanuru. Chetan means Cheta, Chetan means conscious. The Atma is the one who recognizes itself, who knows its own being, its own identity, and is able to recognize others as well. Now, if I ask myself, who am I? Who am I actually referring to? I'm not referring to this body, because this body, when it becomes lifeless, it cannot identify who it is. So when I ask myself, who am I? Or when I ask you, who are you? Your answer should be reflecting upon the Chetanuru that is allowing you to be who you are right now, which is Atma. So the body is Jada and the Atma is Chetanuru, the consciousness that gives us the life force to be able to recognize ourselves, do bhakti, and then connect back to Paramatma. Then the third characteristics of the body is Dukkha. Why? Because this body constantly say ki main dukhi haan, I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm sick, I'm helpless. A lot of negativity or dukkha is connected to this body, right? Atma is Ananda Swarup. There is no illnesses, mental illnesses, physical illnesses, natural disaster, anything that happens to the Atma. It is unaffected by what the body goes through. All the dukkha is inflicted upon the body. So when we look at all the three characteristics of the body, it's complete opposite to that of the Atma. It's Asata, Jada and Dukkha. And Atma is Satya Chitta Ananda Swarup. Ananda Swarup means complete bliss, unaffected by what is happening around the world, just like a kamal full, a lotus flower, unaffected by the karam that the body has to go through, unaffected by what people say or don't say or what people do. It's always in Ananda. Now, even in Jap Sahib as well, Guru Sahib speaks about Paramatma and say the same thing. Sada Sat Dananda Sarvam Paranasi. That Paramatma is Satya Chitta Ananda Swarup and Atma is the same as well. So Guru Angad Dev Ji then continues saying that if a Paramhans, if someone can separate their identity of the body to the Atma through Vivek, Buddha and Vichar, that person becomes a Paramhans. Because why? That Gursikh now will live their life realizing and knowing कि मैं आत्मा स्वरूपिया and I'm always in Ananda and I'm unaffected by what happens around me or what happens to this body, and that all the dukkha and all the karam, the body has to go through it. And when the Paramhansa realizes this, that all the dukkha or the jara is connected to this body, then that Paramhans will not indulge themselves in fulfilling the desires and the pleasures of this body, but rather do those things that will help them, the Atma Swarup, to unite back with Paramatma. Guru Angad Dev Ji here uses the analogy of a lotus flower. If you look at a lotus flower, it lives in the pond and the pani around it is dirty, filthy, there's frogs living in the pond, there's other animals, mosquitoes, flies, whatever not is living on the pond. But the lotus flower's concentration, focus always remains on the sun. It doesn't get affected by the dirt or the filth around it. And Guru Angad Dev Ji says that a Paramhansa should also live like that. That living within this world, which is full of gandha, filth, negativity, the focus of Paramhans should always be on Paramatma. And if the Paramhans can do this, then the Paramhans can live in this world without any bondage, without any attachment, thus not creating further karams and then uniting back with Waheguru. So Bhai Paro Julka Ji then listened to this bachan, to the advice of Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, and he lived his life according to that. So Bhai Paro Julka Ji in our Sikh Itihas is known as Bhai Paro Julka Paramhans. So Bhai Paro Julka Ji, they themselves became a Paramhans. They were saved from this world, from this Janam, from this June, and eventually they saved their whole lineage with them as well. So Sangat Ji, for us, our aim should be to become like a Paramhans. A Paramhans, someone who is able to identify what is good, what is bad in their life, leave the bad aside and only consume the good things that helps them to fulfill their jivan, their life purpose, which is to become one with Waheguru. So for us, we need to contemplate in our life as well, what is good for us. And this, we need to really learn ki the idea of what is good and bad should not be based on what the world is telling us. It should be based on Gurbani. Because the world might say, what's the point of doing Bhakti 8 pahar? You just have to say Waheguru one time. Or you don't even have to say Waheguru with your mouth. It's called Tota Ratan. But Gurbani says, Simaro Simar Simar Sukh Pao. That you should be doing so much of Simran with your tongue, with your heart, with your mind. That Bhagat Ji says as well, Kabir meri simrani rasna uparna. So the idea is good and bad should be based on what Gurbani says and not what the world says. And when we follow that, what Gurbani says, then our path, our life will be much easier, especially when you want to unite back with Waheguru. So hope you learn from this video as well. Let me know what you think in the comment below. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Monday, my money was taken. Tuesday, names called. Wednesday, my uniform torn. Thursday, my body pouring with blood. Friday, it's ended. And Saturday, freedom. These are the final written words of a 13-year-old Sikh boy, Vijay Singh from Manchester, bullied because the way he looked was different. and it made him stand out. And in his poem he writes, Friday it's ended, because he would never return to school and never have to face those bullies again. And on Saturday he writes freedom, because that's when his mother found him, hanging in the stairs of their home with a scarf around his neck. He was our brother and is no longer here with us because of bullying. Bullying is a problem, a big problem. It was a problem in the 60s and 70s with the racism when our families came here.
Well, I like it at school, but sometimes they call me silly names. And I don't like it really.
What do they call you?
Like sometimes you're black coloured or you're wogs, something like that. They call me silly names like that.
And 60 years later, it's still a problem today. 30 years ago, it was a problem when my generation were at school, and the children today still face it. But it's not just a schoolyard problem, it's a societal problem. It's a silent epidemic that thrives in the shadows, and the issues and problems have only grown with social media and cyberbullying. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can be the change, the antidote to this plague. We can and must stand up against bullying by looking out for each other, by lending a helping hand, a smile, a fateh, a tikya will all help. Being a friend to the friendless, being aware that a time may come when we need to fight and defend ourselves. So train, prepare and be ready for that day. Encourage the young girls to learn a martial art and train, build their resilience, self-confidence. And self-defense isn't just physical, it's verbal, it's awareness, it's building confidence, courage and resilience. And our actions will always speak louder than our words. So demonstrate kindness, respect and empathy throughout life, so the next generation know what it is to stand up against bullying. And remember that when we come together to combat bullying, we're not just fighting against a problem, we're building a more compassionate, empathetic society, and we're building a world where kindness is the norm and where every individual feels safe and valued. So let's all of us pledge to be the change we wish to see in this world. Together, we can make a change, we can stand up against bullying, and we can be the difference in someone's life. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I myself, 10 years ago, before Basic Sikhi, I was suffering so much, I had no idea who my Guru is. At that same time, Bhai Jesspreet Singh Ji opened up the Basic Sikhi YouTube channel and blew my mind. He showed us the feet of my Guru. Since that day, the Basic Sikhi organization has sprouted into countless other organizations, and we all work as one team. Today, we're not asking you for £1 million. If you can help us today by donating only $10, one-off payment, that will help us win a competition with the Diswant Network and win £15,000. Whoever the winner is that gets the most donations today is the last day, the last few hours. We're in second place right now, but with your help, you can turn it around for us. We can catapult from second place to the first place. Where is this money going to go? Directly to Sikhi Prachar. This is beautiful Charti Kala Gursikh Jesspreet Singh. He is a top-level engineer in New York City. We're doing benti to him. Bhai Saheb Ji, please leave your career and walk down the path of Sikhi Prachar, but we need to fund him. So with that £15,000 will go towards his first year of Sikhi Prachar. Imagine if we have Charti Kala Singhs like him quitting their jobs, coming back full-time. Basic Sikhi couldn't do anything without you, the Sangat. And we want to see all of the UK come together as one powerhouse. We're just asking you today, give us $10, and with that $10, we're going to change the world like the organization has already done.
You're saying that if my body has been abused, if I've gone through some trauma, how can I begin to see it as a temple? I want you to look at it in a slightly different way. Think about how you act in a temple. Think about how we all behave when we go to a temple. Everything changes about our demeanor. We start speaking softly. We may cover our heads or cover our bodies. We put our phones on silent. And all of a sudden, we start acting in a far more saintly and meditative manner because we know that we're in the presence of something holy. So it is not about how can I treat my body as a temple. I would say to you, treat your body as a temple. Start to now imagine, what if this is actually a temple? Think about a temple, right? When you go to a temple, What's the difference between a temple and your own home? In your home, you say, this is my home. I belong here. So when I come home, I just throw my shoes off. I put my feet on. I put my feet up. I sit back. I relax. This is my home. I'm the king here. When you go to a temple, it usually belongs to a deity, a god. It belongs to some holy being of some sort. So you can't behave in the same way. The wisdom of treat your body as a temple is to say, what if I was to begin to treat this body as though it belonged to not me, but it actually belonged to the spirit of life? And how would I now act if I recognize that there was a divine space within this? But that can be quite difficult to do. You say, well, it's not divine. I know me. I know my mind. I know what I go through every day. I know the harsh words that I use. I know that there are things about my body that I look in the mirror and I'm not very satisfied with. I'd like to change my nose, and I wish I was taller, and I wish my skin color was this. We all do these things, right? But I started by saying, is this yours? One of the biggest mistakes we say is, this is my body. So let's analyze that. Let's look at that. Did you create this body? He said, no, I didn't create this body. So what happened? You just landed in it. You just appeared and the body was given to you. So it's not your body. Okay. Do you create the breath? Are you keeping this body going right now? What's keeping the body going? The body is breathing, but you're not breathing. It's just breathing by itself. Are you circulating the blood around your body right now? Are you doing that? No. Are you pumping the heart? No, I'm not doing that. When you were a child, were you responsible for how tall you grew? Were you growing your body? No. So how can you tell me this is your body? This is a gift. This is a gift that's been given to you. And the spiritual masters have always told us this is much more than a gift. This is actually a temple. And once you begin to recognize that this is a temple, you will start to now think, well, how do I act in this temple? This is a vessel that has been created by the greatest force in the universe. Think of all of the technology that we have in life today. Can anything create this? Something as wonderful? Till today, they say the brain, the human brain, is the most complicated thing in all of the universe that we've come across. Just this in here. I mean, I'm not capable of creating the most complicated thing in the universe. I didn't create this thing. I can barely make a roti that's round, right? Let alone create something that is so wonderful and magnificent. So when we begin to understand this genuinely is a gift, and you have a gift for a very short amount of time, you have no idea when the owner of this gift is going to come and ask for the gift back. You have no idea. So this is now an opportunity for you. What can I do with this gift? You can carry on keeping these traumas going on in your mind as much as you want to. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of us like our traumas. I know it sounds harsh to say, but a lot of us like to hold on to that because we want to continue to feel like the victim. A lot of us don't want to let go of these past traumas. And then we say, well, I tried meditation, it doesn't work. It isn't just about that. It's about actually asking yourself some very, very tough questions. Can I let go of this? And can I now start to act as though this is a temple? And you will start to see things very different when you see this body as Har Mandir, as a divine temple. Start to see this as think about how you act if you were in the Golden Temple right now, and do that within your own body. Start to treat this as a sacred space, and then everything becomes sacred. If you're in a temple, you wouldn't use harsh words. If you go to the Gurdwara, if you go to a church, if you go to a holy space, you don't start swearing and start using harsh words. You don't dart around your eyes and start looking at other people lustfully. You wouldn't like it if somebody starts having a conversation with you. Oh, look what he did. Look what you said. Hey, I'm not here for that. I'm in a temple. I'm here to get rid of all of that noise of the world, and I'm trying to get myself into a meditative space. That's why I've come to the temple. But you're in a temple. So when you're in a temple, now ask the question, how do I speak? What should I listen to? What should I look at? And then you start to address the habits in your life. What am I following on social media? Is this adding to my meditative space? Is this worthy of this temple? What am I binge watching on my streaming services? Is this worthy of this temple? And that starts to become really difficult. You say, yeah, but I quite like that Netflix series. I wanted to get to the finish because it's only now started. I'm in the second series and it's getting really exciting. I'm not telling you not to watch. I'm telling you to reflect on yourself. Is this worthy of the temple that you've been given? And these start to become difficult questions because a lot of us don't want to make real changes. So I thought I just had to wear a turban and grow my hair and do this and just say some prayers 5 times a day. No, don't do that stuff. That stuff was to make you to introspect. And if you don't want to introspect, then you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself and you're fooling everyone because you think that you are a spiritual person, but you're not willing to do the actual work that it takes to look within yourself. Look within yourself. That is where you will find divinity. That's where you're going to find peace. That's where you're going to be able to heal yourself from your past traumas. If you go within yourself and start to be willing to change your characteristics, change how you are. So I know it sounds simple, but it might even be a little bit painful. Are you willing to go through that effort? Because what is there on the other side? Guru Nanak says, Balhari gur apne, Deohari sadvar, Jin manas te devte kiye. I bow down to the Guru 1,000,000 times a day who transformed me from being a individual, a ordinary human being, into a God. The beauty about treating your body as a temple is it will transform you into a God. You don't have to bow down to some other gods. You will become a God, God-like, because the Guru that you have is God-like. The Guru that you have is the highest Devta. Gur jaisa nahi ko dev. There is no other God like this Guru. Because why? Because he makes me into a God. That's what's available to you. This is what is on offer to you. You have the ability, like you watch these superhero movies, somebody doesn't know that they're a superhero and all of a sudden they get these powers and they don't know what to do with themselves. That is what is available to you. You are a walking, talking superhero that's waiting to discover that divinity that's within you. Now the question is that what you want? He said, no, I'll just watch some Netflix. I'll just watch the superheroes, but I don't want to become one.
ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਲੂ ਸ਼ਰਧਾ ਭਾਵਨਾ ਨਾਲ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਤਸਵੀਰ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਉਚਾਰੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਪੰਕਤੀਆਂ ਬਦੋਬਦੀ ਸੁਰਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਅਮਰ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਸੂਰਮੇ ਸਨ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੀਸ ਧੜ ਤੋਂ ਜੁਦਾ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਵਚਨ ਪੂਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਅਤੇ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਅੰਤ ਤੱਕ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਲੜਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਅਤੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦਿਨ ਵਿੱਚ 14 ਘੰਟੇ ਕਲਮ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਲੋੜ ਪੈਣ ਤੇ 75 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਵਿੱਚ 18 ਸਿਰ ਦਾ ਖੰਡਾ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਦੇ ਦੰਦ ਵੀ ਖੱਟੇ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਟੇ। ਅਤੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਕੌਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਸਮੇਂ 1733 ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਬ ਕਪੂਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਨਵਾਬੀ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਇਹ ਨਵਾਬੀ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਕੌਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਮਹਾਨ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਹਾ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਝੋਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਈ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਂ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਜੱਸਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਹਲੂਵਾਲੀਆ, ਸਰਦਾਰ ਚੜ੍ਹਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਚੱਕੀਆ, ਸਰਦਾਰ ਦਰਬਾਰਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਸਰਦਾਰ ਕਰਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਸਨ। ਇਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅੰਤ ਤੱਕ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਤੇ ਚਾਨਣਾ ਪਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਸੋ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਨੂੰ ਆਖਰ ਤੱਕ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੇਖਿਓ ਅਤੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰ ਲਿਓ। ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਜਨਮ ਪਹੂਵਿੰਡ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਵਿਖੇ 26 ਜਨਵਰੀ 1682 ਨੂੰ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਮਾਤਾ ਜਿਉਣੀ ਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਭਾਈ ਭਗਤਾ ਜੀ ਸਨ। ਜੇਕਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਪਿਛੋਕੜ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ 5000 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮਿਡਲ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਫਿਰਕੂ ਕਬੀਲੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਵਸ ਗਏ ਸੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਕਬੀਲਾ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧਿਆ ਫੁੱਲਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਸੱਭਿਆਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਗੋਤਾਂ ਨਿਰਧਾਰਿਤ ਕਰ ਲਈਆਂ। ਇੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਗੋਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਮੈਂਟਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਵਾਦ ਛਿੜ ਜਾਏਗਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਨਾਮ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੌਰ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੰਘ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਗੋਤ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਉੱਠਦਾ। ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਬਚਪਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਦੀਪਾ ਸੀ। ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਚਪਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਸਮੇਤ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿਖੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਨ ਇੰਨਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵਾਪਸ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਉੱਥੋਂ, ਅਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿਖੇ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਅਤੇ ਛੇਤੀ ਹੀ ਉਹ ਸੰਸਕ੍ਰਿਤ, ਗੁਰਮੁਖੀ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਿਪੁੰਨ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿਖੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਸਤਰ ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕੀਤੀ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਕੌਮ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਖ ਯੋਧਿਆਂ ਅਤੇ ਮੁੱਖ ਵਿਦਵਾਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਿਆ। ਜਦੋਂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਪੰਥ ਸਾਜਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਭਾਗਾਂ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕਿਆ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 1703 ਈਸਵੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਏ ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਤੋਂ ਆਗਿਆ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਪਸ ਪਿੰਡ ਲੈ ਗਏ। ਪਿੰਡ ਆ ਕੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰਮੁਖੀ ਅਤੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। 1704 ਈਸਵੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਘੇਰਾ ਪੈਣ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸਰਸਾ ਕੰਢੇ ਹੋਇਆ, ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵਿਛੋੜਾ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਕਾ ਸਰਹੰਦ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਵਰਤਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੱਦੀ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਿਖੇ ਹੀ ਸਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਸੰਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਸਾਧਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਪਰੇ ਇਸ ਵਰਤਾਰੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਸੀ। ਦੁਨੀਆ ਉੱਪਰ ਵਿਲੱਖਣ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਰਚਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਮਦਮਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਸਮਾਂ ਜੰਗਾਂ ਯੁੱਧਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਥੋੜਾ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਵਾਲਾ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ 9ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਆਦਿ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਵਾ ਕੇ ਸੰਪੂਰਨ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਰਜ ਆਰੰਭ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇਸ ਕੰਮ ਲਈ ਕੌਮ ਦੇ 2 ਵਿਦਵਾਨ ਬੁਲਾਏ ਗਏ, ਭਾਈ ਮਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ। ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਆਦਿ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਮੁੱਖ ਭੀੜ ਧੀਰ ਮੱਲੀਆਂ ਕੋਲ ਸੀ। ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਖੋਟੀ ਨੀਤ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਣ ਤੋਂ ਮਨਾ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਮਹਾਨ ਕਾਰਜ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਪੂਰਨ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੜਚਨ ਖੜੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ। ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੁਖ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰੇ ਆਦਿ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਦਾ ਉਚਾਰਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਅਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਮਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਲਿਖਤ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਤਾਰਿਆ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਮਹਾਨ ਕਾਰਜ ਸੰਪੂਰਨ ਹੋਇਆ। ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੁਝ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਸ਼ੰਕਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ 3 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਸੰਪੂਰਨ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਪੂਰਨ ਸਰੂਪ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਅਜੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਸ਼ਹੂਰ ਇਤਿਹਾਸਕਾਰ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਕਾਹਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਭਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਭਾਈ ਨਰੈਣ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਇਸ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤੇ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਸੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਏਕ ਓਮਕਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਪੂਰਾ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜ਼ਬਾਨੀ ਯਾਦ ਸੀ। ਜੇਕਰ ਇਹ ਆਮ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਇੰਨੀ ਸਮਰੱਥਾ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਦੀਨ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਮਾਲਕ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਕੁ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੱਖਣ ਵੱਲ ਰਵਾਨਾ ਹੋਏ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਦਮਦਮਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਇਸ ਹੁਕਮ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਕਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਵਾਪਸ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਏ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਗੁਰਮੁਖੀ, ਸਿੱਖੀ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਅਤੇ ਸ਼ਸਤਰ ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਦੀ ਸਿਖਲਾਈ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਰਹੇ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ 11 ਸਾਲ ਤੱਕ 14 ਘੰਟੇ ਲਿਖ ਕੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ 4 ਸਰੂਪ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਜੋ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ 4 ਤਖਤਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਭੇਜੇ ਗਏ। ਇੱਕ ਸਰੂਪ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਅਨੇਕਾਂ ਪੋਥੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ। ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਛੋਟੇ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਦਾ ਬਦਲਾ ਲੈਣ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਲਈ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਸਰਹੰਦ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਏ ਸਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੰਬੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਮਲਾਲ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅਤੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਪਰੇ ਵਰਤਾਰੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਨ। ਹੁਣ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਕੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਜੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਹਿਮ ਰੋਲ ਅਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇਤਿਹਾਸਕਾਰ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਜੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਦੰਦ ਵੀ ਟੁੱਟ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ। ਹੁਣ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਅੰਤਿਮ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਾਰੇ। ਆਪਾਂ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਪੂਰਨ ਵਰਤਾਰੇ ਦੀ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਚਲੋ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੀ ਇਕਾਗਰਤਾ ਨੂੰ 1753 ਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤੇ ਟਿਕਾਓ। ਮੀਰ ਮੰਨੂ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਿੱਖ ਤੇਜ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਕਤਵਰ ਧਿਰ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਉੱਭਰ ਕੇ ਆਏ। ਮੀਰ ਮੰਨੂ ਉਹੀ ਸੀ ਜਿਸ ਨੇ ਜਨਤਕ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਤਲੇਆਮ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਜਾਰੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ। ਇਹ ਭਾਰਤ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਬਦਾਲੀ ਦੇ ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਦੌਰ ਸੀ। ਅਬਦਾਲੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਗੱਡਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਗੱਡੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੁੱਟ ਕੇ ਲਿਆਉਂਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਹਰ ਵਾਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਘੇਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਧੀਆਂ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਛੁਡਾ ਕੇ ਅਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਖਜ਼ਾਨਾ ਵੀ ਲੁੱਟ ਲੈਂਦੇ। ਅਬਦਾਲੀ ਆਪਣੇ 4 ਹਮਲਿਆਂ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਤੰਗ ਆ ਕੇ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਦੇ ਸੂਬੇਦਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਣ ਹਨ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਦੇ ਬਣੇ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਥੱਕ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੁੱਕਦੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਸਰੋਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਪਾ ਗਿਆ, ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਮਰੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅਬਦਾਲੀ ਆਪ ਤਾਂ ਕਾਬੁਲ ਵੱਲ ਮੁੜ ਗਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਤੈਮੂਰ ਨੂੰ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਜਹਾਨ ਖਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦਾ ਸੂਬੇਦਾਰ ਥਾਪ ਕੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕਰੋ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਸ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਉਂਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਾਓ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਸਰੋਵਰ ਦਾ ਕੁਝ ਕਰੋ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜ਼ਾਲਮਾਂ ਨੇ ਹਮਲਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਇਮਾਰਤ ਨੂੰ ਢਹਿ ਢੇਰੀ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਅਤੇ ਸਰੋਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਗੰਦ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੱਕ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ 75 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਸੀ। ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੇ ਜਾਣ ਤੱਕ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਮਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੇਖਿਓ। ਚਲੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਤੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੱਕ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ 75 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਸੀ। ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਬੇਅਦਬੀ ਦੀ ਖਬਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਸ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਬਾਬੇ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਪਹੁੰਚੀ ਤਾਂ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਲਾਲ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਅਤੇ ਡੋਲੇ ਫੜਕਣ ਲੱਗੇ। ਉਹ ਦਮਦਮਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੋਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਲਈ ਰਵਾਨਾ ਹੋਏ। ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕੇਵਲ 8 ਸਿੰਘ ਹੀ ਸਨ। ਪਿੰਡ ਸੁਨੇਹਾ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਬੇਅਦਬੀ ਦਾ ਬਦਲਾ ਲੈਣਾ ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਲਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਸ਼ਸਤਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਣ। ਸਿੰਘ ਜੁੜਦੇ ਗਏ ਅਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਤਰਨਤਾਰਨ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ 4000 ਤੋਂ ਟੱਪ ਗਈ ਸੀ। ਤਰਨਤਾਰਨ ਦੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਇਸ ਜਥੇ ਨੇ ਪੜਾਅ ਕੀਤਾ ਅਤੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਖੰਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਕੀਰ ਖਿੱਚ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਤੇ ਗੱਜ ਕੇ ਆਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਅਜੇ ਵੀ ਮੌਕਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਕੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਮੋਹ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹਟ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਲਈ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋਣ ਦਾ ਚਾਅ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਲਕੀਰ ਟੱਪ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਰਲੇ। ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਕੀਰ ਟੱਪ ਕੇ ਜਕਾਰੇ ਛੱਡੇ। ਉਧਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਹਾਨ ਖਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਦੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਉਣ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਸਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ 20,000 ਦੀ ਫੌਜ ਤਿਆਰ ਕਰ ਲਈ ਅਤੇ ਤੈਮੂਰ ਨੂੰ ਫੌਜ ਭੇਜਣ ਲਈ ਸੁਨੇਹਾ ਭੇਜ ਦਿੱਤਾ। 4000 ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਦਾ 20,000 ਦੀ ਫੌਜ ਨਾਲ ਗੋਹਵਾਰ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਿਖੇ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਵੱਡੇ ਪੱਧਰ ਤੇ ਕੱਟ ਵੱਢ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। 75 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਤੇ ਸਵਾਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ 2 ਧਾਰੀ ਖੰਡਾ ਤੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਹੱਥ ਗੁਰਜ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਹਿਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਬਰਸ ਪਏ। 18 ਸੇਰ ਦੇ ਖੰਡੇ ਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਦੂਜੇ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੜੀ ਗੁਰਜ ਦਾ ਭਾਰ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ ਸੀ। ਅਫਗਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਚੋਟੀ ਦੇ ਜਰਨੈਲ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਕਰੀਮ ਬਖਸ਼ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਿਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰਜ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਬੜੀ ਹੈਰਾਨੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਤੇ ਪੂਰੀ ਜੰਗ ਦਾ ਨਕਸ਼ਾ ਬਦਲ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਇੱਕ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਭਾਈ ਲਕਸ਼ਮਣ ਸਿੰਘ ਇਸ ਜੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਹਾਨ ਖਾਨ ਦੇ ਹਾਥੀ ਦੇ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਦੇ ਤੋੜੇ ਤੋਂ ਅਜਿਹੀ ਛਾਲ ਮਰਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਤੇਗ ਨਾਲ ਹਾਥੀ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਜਹਾਨ ਖਾਨ ਦਾ ਸਿਰ ਧੜ ਤੋਂ ਅਲੱਗ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੀ ਜਰਨੈਲ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਗਦੜ ਮਚ ਗਈ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿਪਾਹੀ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨੂੰ ਭੱਜਣ ਲੱਗੇ। ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਜੰਗ ਫਤਿਹ ਕਰ ਲਈ। ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਵੱਲ ਵਧਣਾ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖਿਆ। ਜੋ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਸੈਨਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਵੱਲ ਭੱਜ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਿਲਾਪ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਤੋਂ ਸੈਨਾ ਸਮੇਤ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਤੈਮੂਰ ਨਾਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੈਮੂਰ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਭੱਜ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਸੈਨਿਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਾ ਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਜੰਗ ਦੇ ਮੈਦਾਨ ਵੱਲ ਤੁਰ ਪਿਆ। ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੇ ਤੈਮੂਰ ਦੀ ਫੌਜ ਆਮੋ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਹੋਈ। ਹੁਣ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਦੀ ਫੌਜ ਲਗਭਗ ਦੁੱਗਣੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਜੰਗ ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ। ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਤੇ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣਾਂ ਤੇ ਬਿਜਲੀ ਵਾਂਗ ਗਰਜਣ ਲੱਗੇ। ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਦੀ ਧੌਣ ਤੇ ਵਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਘੋੜਾ ਜ਼ਖਮੀ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਡਿੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀ ਪਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਫਿਰ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਢਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਪੈਦਲ ਹੀ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵੱਲ ਤੁਰ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੈਨਾ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਦੇਖ ਇੱਕ ਮੁਸਲਮ ਜਰਨੈਲ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਲੜਨ ਲਈ ਵੰਗਾਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸੂਰਮੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੁਕਾਬਲਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ। ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ 75 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ 35 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸੂਰਮਾ ਅਯਾਨ ਖਾਨ। ਕਾਫੀ ਸਮਾਂ ਲੜਾਈ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰਹੀ। ਅੰਤ ਅਜਿਹਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਆਇਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਸੂਰਮਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕੋ ਸਮੇਂ ਵਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਵਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਜਰਨੈਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਧੜ ਤੋਂ ਅਲੱਗ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਸਿਰ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਡਿੱਗ ਪਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਡਿੱਗਾ ਪਿਆ ਸੀਸ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਭਾਵੁਕ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਬਚਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਚਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਰੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਕਰਾ ਕੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੋਗੇ, ਪਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀ ਪਾ ਗਏ। ਇਹ ਬਚਨ ਅਧੂਰਾ ਹੀ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਇਹ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਹਰਕਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੀਸ ਖੱਬੀ ਤਲੀ ਤੇ ਧਰ ਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਸੱਜੇ ਹੱਥ ਨਾਲ ਖੰਡਾ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਢਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਣ ਲੱਗੇ। ਜਦੋਂ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿੰਘ ਤਾਂ ਮਰ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੁਕਦੇ, ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਫੌਜ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਘਾਬਰ ਗਈ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਹਥਿਆਰ ਸੁੱਟ ਕੇ ਭੱਜਣੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੇ ਸੀਸ ਦੋਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਖੂਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਧਾਰਾਂ ਵਗ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਸਨ। ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪਹੁੰਚਣ ਤੱਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੁਰਨਾ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਆਖਰਕਾਰ ਪ੍ਰਕਰਮਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੀਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਹਰਮੰਦਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਵਚਨ ਪੂਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੀ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋਏ। ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋਏ ਉੱਥੇ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਨਤਮਸਤਕ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ। ਜੇਕਰ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਚੰਗੀ ਲੱਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਿਓ ਅਤੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾइब कर लियो। धन्यवाद।
सन 1707 में औरंगजेब की मृत्यु के बाद उसके पुत्रों में सत्ता पाने की लड़ाई शुरू हो गई। उसका तीसरा पुत्र आजम खान जबरदस्ती दिल्ली के सिंहासन पर बैठ गया, जबकि औरंगजेब का दूसरा पुत्र बहादुर शाह दिल्ली के तख्त पर बैठना चाहता था। कहते हैं बहादुर शाह अपने पिता के बिल्कुल विपरीत था। वह सभी धर्मों के लोगों का एक समान आदर करता था। बहादुर शाह ने तब आजम शाह के खिलाफ युद्ध शुरू कर दिया। उसने गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी से युद्ध में उसकी मदद करने का आग्रह किया। गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी को उसने भरोसा दिलाया कि वो सत्ता संभालते ही उनके साथ हुए अत्याचारों का न्याय दिलवाएगा और सभी धर्मों को बराबर अधिकार देगा। तब गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी ने भाई धर्म सिंह के साथ 300 खालसा सिख बहादुर शाह की सहायता के लिए भेजे। आखिर गुरु जी की मदद से वह युद्ध जीत गया। इतिहास में दर्ज है, कुछ साल बाद बहादुर शाह दक्षिण भारत में अपना राज प्रबंध पक्का करके जब दिल्ली को वापस जाने लगा तो वह गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी को मिलने आया। बहुत सारे उपहार आगे रखकर उसने गुरु जी को प्रणाम किया और उनके आगे अरदास की कि गुरु जी, आपकी कृपा से इस क्षेत्र में सारे काम मैंने संवार लिए हैं। अब दिल्ली वापस जाने की तैयारी करके आप जी के दर्शन करने आया हूँ। गुरु जी ने उसे सिरोपा देकर आशीर्वाद दिया कि दिल्ली के तख्त का राज सुख तुम्हें जीवन भर प्राप्त होगा। कहते हैं कि बहादुर शाह ने अपने पिता औरंगजेब द्वारा हिंदू और सिखों के खिलाफ बनाए हुए कानूनों को रद्द कर दिया। इस प्रकार उसके सभी धर्मों के लोगों के साथ रिश्ते सुधरने लगे और उसकी गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी के साथ मित्रता गहरी हो गई। यह मित्रता कई कट्टरपंथी लोगों को रास न आई, जिसमें सबसे कट्टर था सरहंद का नवाब वजीर खां। वह नहीं चाहता था कि हिंदुओं, सिखों और मुसलमानों में भाईचारा बढ़े। हम आपको बताना चाहेंगे कि वजीर खां वही दुष्ट नवाब था जिसने गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी के 2 छोटे साहिबजादे जोरावर सिंह जी और बाबा फतेह सिंह जी को बड़ी बेरहमी से जिंदा ही दीवार में चुनवा दिया था। कहते हैं कि बहादुर शाह से मिलने के कुछ समय बाद गुरुजी नांदेड़ अपनी पत्नी माता साहिब कौर जी के साथ संगत समेत आ गई। वहां रहते हुए गुरुजी के 2 समय दीवान लगा करते। ढेरों ही संगतें अपने सतगुरु जी के दर्शन करके आनंद प्राप्त करती। इनमें से बहुत से श्रद्धालु मुसलमान भी आप जी के दर्शन करने आया करते। इनमें 2 पठान थे, वाजिल बेग और जमशेद खां। वे हर रोज सुबह शाम गुरु जी की संगत में आया करते थे और कई कई घंटे बैठे रहते। एक दिन जब गुरुजी रहरास साहिब पाठ करने के बाद अपने तंबू में अकेले विश्राम कर रहे थे तो इनमें से एक पठान जमशेद खान ने मौके का फायदा उठाया और गुरुजी के तंबू में घुस गया। उसने गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी के पेट में चाकू के 2 वार कर दिए। उसी पल गुरुजी ने अपने आप को संभाल कर अपने कृपान के एक ही वार से उस पठान का सिर धड़ से अलग कर दिया। शोर पड़ने से जमशेद खां का साथी वाजिल बेग जो तंबू के बाहर खड़ा था वह भागने लगा। कहते हैं तब सिखों ने उसी पल वाजिल बेग को खत्म कर दिया। इस तरह दोनों दुष्ट मरकर घोर नरक में चले गए। जिन पठानों ने गुरुजी पर वार किया था वे वजीर खां ने गुरुजी का कत्ल करने के उद्देश्य से ही नांदेड़ भेजे थे। वजीर खां को डर था कि कहीं गुरुजी बहादुर शाह के साथ मिलकर साहिबजादों की शहादत का बदला लेने के लिए मुझे ही न मरवा दे, इसलिए वजीर खां गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी को मरवा देना चाहता था। दूसरी तरफ जब सिखों ने गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी के जख्म देखे तो बहुत घबरा गए, लेकिन गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी ने सिखों को हौसला देते हुए कहा, तुम चिंता न करो, अकाल पुरख का भाना अटल है, बदल नहीं सकता। सिखों ने एक हकीम को बुलाकर टांके लगवाई और मरहम पट्टी कर दी। उस हकीम ने सख्त हिदायत दी कि अगर गुरुजी आप पूरा ध्यान करेंगे तभी जख्म ठीक होने की संभावना है। जख्मों से काफी खून बहने के कारण गुरुजी काफी कमजोर हो गए थे, जिस कारण एक बड़े वैद्य को बुलाकर काफी देखभाल की गई। सतगुरु जी के प्यारे सिख हर रोज कड़ा प्रसाद की देग तैयार करके अकाल पुरख के आगे गुरु जी की निरोगता के लिए अरदास किया करते। कुछ ही दिनों में गुरु जी के घाव भरने लगे। गुरु जी पहले से अच्छा महसूस करने लगे। उनकी कुशलता की खबर सुनकर दूर दूर से श्रद्धालु उनके दर्शनों के लिए आने लगे। एक दिन जब गुरुजी धनुष की कमान खींचने लगे तो ज्यादा जोर लगने के कारण उनके टांके खुल गए और उनके शरीर में सूजन हो गई। हर तरह की दवा दारू की गई पर जख्म दिनों दिन खराब होता गया। अंतर्यामी गुरुजी जान चुके थे कि अब उनका अंतिम समय निकट आ चुका है। गुरुजी के ठीक होने की जब कोई आशा न रही तो सिखों ने तड़फते हुए हृदय से उनके आगे प्रार्थना की कि हे सदगुरु जी, आप हमें किसके सहारे छोड़कर जा रहे हैं? हमारी फरियादें अब से कौन सुनेगा? कौन हमें उपदेश देकर हमारा जीवन सफल करेगा? सिखों की प्रार्थना सुनकर गुरु जी ने श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी का प्रकाश करवाया और 5 सिख तैयार करके गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी के हजूरी में खड़े हो गए। आप जी ने गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी के आगे 3 परिक्रमा करके 5 पैसे और 1 नारियल रखकर गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी को शीश झुकाया और वचन किया कि हमारे बाद खालसे के गुरु श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी होंगे। ये ऐसा अटल गुरु होगा जो युगों युगों तक अटल रहेगा। इस गुरबानी की हजूरी में 5 प्यारे जो हुक्म किया करेंगे उसको खालसा गुरु का हुक्म मानकर स्वीकार करो। हमारे जाने के बाद कभी भी मुसीबत का समय हालातों से घबराना नहीं, कोई देहधारी गुरु स्वीकार नहीं करना, गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी के अलावा किसी के आगे शीश नहीं झुकाना। गुरु जी ने तब फरमाया कि जिसको हमारे दर्शनों की प्यास हो वो हमारे दर्शन 5 प्यारे सिखों में कर सकता है। गुरु जी ने खालसा पंथ को गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी के सुपुर्द करके अमृत छकना, केश रखने, कछहरा और शस्त्रों को सदा अंग संग रखने का सभी को हुक्म दिया और एक अकाल पुरख की पूजा, उसकी रजा में रहना खालसा जी का मुख्य उद्देश्य समझाया। इस तरह उपदेश देकर अगले दिन गुरु जी ने अपने खालसा को चिता तैयार करने का हुक्म दिया और कहा कि उसकी चारों तरफ कनाते भी लगा दी जाए। हुक्म मानकर सिखों ने चंदन की चिता तैयार की और कनाते लगा दी। सिखों ने तड़फते हृदय और अश्रुओं से भरी आंखों से प्रार्थना की, महाराज, यहाँ प्रदेश में हमें किसके सहारे छोड़कर जा रहे हो? सिखों की यह प्रार्थना सुनकर जब गुरु जी ने देखा कि सिख उनके बैकुंठ गमन की तैयारी सुनकर बहुत शोक में चले गए हैं, तो सबको एक साथ बिठाकर गुरु जी ने बड़े प्रेम पूर्वक कहा, हे प्यारे सिखों, ईश्वर की मर्यादा अनुसार यह अस्थूल शरीर मिलते और बिछड़ते रहते हैं। इस शरीर का प्यार कभी नहीं निभता। श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी की बानी हमारा हृदय है। रात दिन इसके साथ मिलकर हरि प्रभु के गुणों में अपने मन को जोड़कर रखना। गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी चौंकड़ा मारकर अपने पास बैठे हुए सिखों को इस तरह उपदेशमयी वचन देकर धैर्य दे रहे थे तथा दोनों हाथों से अपनी नाभि तक लंबी दाढ़ी संवार रहे थे। आप जी की सुंदर दाढ़ी नीचे से 2 भागों में बंटी हुई थी और बीच में कोई कोई सफेद बाल आया हुआ था। दाढ़ी को संवार कर फिर आप जी ने अपनी दोनों मूंछों पर हाथ फेरकर उनको तैयार किया। इस तरह उपदेश देकर जब आधी रात बीत गई तो गुरु जी ने जपजी साहिब का पाठ किया, अरदास की, फिर मखमल का कमर कस्सा कस के उसमें कृपान बांध ली, कंधे पर धनुष और हाथ में बंदूक पकड़ ली। इसके बाद गुरु जी ने घोड़ों के सेवादार को आज्ञा दी कि तबेले में सभी घोड़े बढ़िया वस्त्र पहनाकर तैयार किए जाएं। फिर गुरुजी संगतों को दर्शन देने के लिए तंबू से बाहर आ खड़े हुए। कहा जाता है कि गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी सबको शरीर के कारण तो नजर आ रहे थे, पर चरण छूने वालों को गुरु जी के शरीर का स्पर्श अनुभव नहीं हो रहा था। इस चमत्कार को देखकर संगतें बहुत हैरान हो गई। संगत को दीदार देकर गुरुजी चंदन की चिता की तरफ चल पड़े। चिता के चारों ओर तंबू लगे हुए थे। गुरुजी ने सारी संगत को तब हुक्म दिया कि जब हम चिता में बैठेंगे आप चिता को अग्नि देकर तंबू से बाहर चले जाना। यह वचन करके गुरुजी चिता के पास पहुंच गए और अपने शस्त्रों सहित तैयार होकर चिता पर बैठ गए। उन्होंने सिखों को आज्ञा दी कि अब आप सब अपने अपने घरों को चले जाएं। यहाँ केवल जत्थेदार संतोख सिंह हमारे स्थान की सेवा करने के लिए रुक जाए। संतोख सिंह को वचन किया कि हमारे स्थान पर जो भी धन आएगा उससे लंगर ही चलाना। इसके बाद सब सिख संगतों ने चिता की परिक्रमा करके गुरु जी को नमस्कार की और चिता को अग्नि देकर तंबू से बाहर आ गई। कहा जाता है कि तंबू के बाहर चारों तरफ बेअंत दियों मशालों की रोशनी थी जो दिन जैसी प्रतीत हो रही थी। इस प्रकार सतगुरु जी सचखंड जा विराजे, परंतु जो सिख संगतें तंबू से बाहर बैठी थी, आप जी के महान गुणों को याद करके नेत्रों से जल बहा रही थी और आप जी के स्वरूप का ध्यान करके अपने मन को धैर्य दे रही थी। कहते हैं कि अगले दिन जब सिखों ने तंबू खोलकर गुरु जी की चिता की राख इकट्ठी करके देखी तो वे यह देखकर हैरान रह गए कि गुरु जी का वहां कोई भी शस्त्र ना निकला जो कि गुरु जी पहनकर चिता पर बैठे थे। इस बात से सिखों को यकीन हो गया था कि गुरु जी शरीर सहित ही सचखंड को पधारे हैं। गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी को अपने अंत समय पूरा विश्वास था कि वे अपने सारे काम पूरे करके जा रहे हैं और खालसा इस काबिल है कि उनकी गैर हाजिरी में भी कौम की अगुवाई कर सकता है। जिस फर्ज के लिए निरंकार प्रभु ने गुरु जी को भेजा था वह उन्होंने संपूर्ण किया, चाहे इस मकसद की पूर्ति के लिए उन्हें ढेरों कष्ट ही क्यों न सहने पड़े। अंत समय गुरु जी प्रसन्न थे, उनके चेहरे पर कोई उदासी का भाव नहीं था। वाहेगुरु कृपा करे और हम सभी गुरु जी के दिखाए रास्ते पर चलें और गुरबानी से जुड़े। वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह।
Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not believe in God. Guru Nanak Dev Ji knew God. And there's a very big difference. And when we still just believe in God, God always remains far away. We talk about dedicate your life to God, praise God. Well, what is God? Maybe with a white beard sitting in the clouds. Is this the God that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is talking about? The truth of the matter is, the whole of Gurmat wisdom has been summarized most beautifully and so intelligently into one single digit. Ik means that everything in the whole entire creation is one thing that looks like many different things. You go out into nature and you look at a mountain and you look at lakes. But the thought that comes in our mind is, wow, Waheguru, this nature that you've made is beautiful. Because for us, Waheguru is far away. And we say, Waheguru, thank you for making this. When do we ever say, I can see you in the river, I can see you in the birds, I can see you in the sky, I can see you in everyone, I can see you in me. The wave doesn't understand that it is the ocean, the human doesn't understand that it is God. Sab Gobind hai, Sab Gobind hai, Gobind bin nahi koi. Everything is God, everything is God, there is nothing except God. The God that we're praying to is right here. What do we do with this wisdom? How does it change our life? Can you accept that all the people that you don't like are God? You say, how can they be God? There's a reason why I don't like them, is because they did something horrible. That way of thinking allows us to have enemies. This way of thinking doesn't allow us to have enemies. You have to see everyone as the same thing, and that hurts our ego. So how do we take a concept like God and make it real? At what point can we see God? Why aren't we saying, I myself am also God and you are also God? Because Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, if you want to walk on this path, you have to give something up. Don't come to the Guru with your shopping list and ask to take something away. Jo to prem khilan ka chao, sir tar tali gali mere aao. I am has to disappear, and when you get rid of I am, all that is left is God. Will you drop your old understanding today? Because you don't know if you have a tomorrow. You have to be willing to change your thoughts, and the Guru is saying that you are not separate from God. Understand the wisdom of the Guru so that we can help the whole world and show the whole world this really is the wisdom that helps everyone. If this was happening, there would be no wars, there would be no enemies, because Gurbani really is the wisdom in this age of darkness.
Suicide rates are higher than ever. Race-related hate crimes have become common news. More and more people struggle with depression. Self-harm in children and teenagers have tripled during the past few years. And yet we as human beings have known solutions to many of these problems for over 500 years. This month, people all over the world will be celebrating the life of Guru Nanak, an enlightened master born 550 years ago. And here are 6 life lessons from Guru Nanak that will change your life and the world. Nobody knows how long they'll live, and yet we live as though we're going to be around forever. We're always waiting for something better because we don't know how to feel good in this moment. If we understood that being alive to see the next day isn't a guarantee, we would truly experience the wonder of what it means to be alive right now. Life is not just an opportunity to become rich, travel the world, experience new sights and sounds, but an opportunity to discover what it means to be alive. You are so much more than your body or your mind, and when you learn to look within yourself, beyond this outer shell, you realize that you are in fact part of a limitless consciousness. How many times have you wished that life turned out different? When things don't go our way, we look to blame others for how we feel inside. Many of us are unhappy because we're either clinging to a painful past or we're longing for better days gone by. But it's only when we learn to truly accept and let go of the past that we can find peace in the present moment and make our futures brighter. Your life is a direct result of the people and things that you're influenced by. Whether it's the people nearest to you, the things you watch, the music you listen to, or the celebrities you follow on social media, they all impact who you become. So surround yourself with those who inspire you. Whenever we think about criticizing and judging people, we fool ourselves into believing that we're just fine. But we all know that our minds are filled with greed, anger, selfishness. So rather than looking down at the actions of others, it's more important to recognize and conquer the demons that we have within us. Each and every one of us are connected. Some call this connection a oneness or God. And if we remember the things that we all have in common, rather than focusing on our differences, we start to look out for each other and treat life and one another as sacred. We strive for equality and fairness for all. And we realize that global peace begins with finding our own inner peace.
You were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were here for a reason. I know you're going through some hard times. I know life at times might feel rough, or you might feel weird, or things might be frustrating, but it's not going to always be like this. Your condition is not your conclusion. I've got to just take maybe 5 minutes to kind of just unpack my story so that you have an idea of who I am and why I speak with the passion that I speak with. There was a time when I was in a really dark place. You know, my mom had me when she was 16 years old. I grew up without my biological father in my life. I struggled with years for drug and alcohol abuse. And I just found myself in a really weird and dark place. I had to repeat the 7th grade, and when the 8th grade came around, I'll never forget hearing at a parent-teacher conference, a teacher tell my mom that I wasn't high school material. And I came to tell you that words are powerful. And when I heard that statement, I remember feeling like, wow, like I am really, really a failure, Like it's one thing to tell a student, hey, okay, you're about to graduate from high school, you're not college material, you're not gonna go to an Ivy League, maybe you should go to a tech school. Like I've heard that, right? Like different people have different paths, but how do you tell middle school kids that they're not ready for high school? Like it affected me. And I'll never forget going that next year, and after a series of events, a lot of fighting, a lot of struggling, that school ended up kicking me out. They got all bent out of shape because I cut the electricity off. The next year I went to another school, got the report card at the end of the year, and because I did not do well and I did not put good in, when I got that final report card, all F's, 1 C. And my mom is this tall, but when she gets mad, she turns into the Hulk, And I'm thinking like, this is not gonna be pretty. But I came up with a plan. I said, you know what, I'm gonna change my grades. So I went to the library, I got that whiteout, I crossed off all the F's and the C, I took a fancy pen and a ruler, and I put those small little dots and lines, and I gave myself all A's and 2 B's. Then I made a copy of it. And as soon as I got home, I gave it to my mom. She took one glance and was like, boy, where your real report card at? I said, Mom, let me explain. She said, no, I don't want to hear it. I know what happened. I said, you do? She said, yes. You probably lost it, how you always lose stuff, and you went to the office and they had to make a copy of theirs on file. I said, yo, you be knowing, Mama. She's like, I'm like, you know everything. She's like, I know. But at the end of that summer, when my real report card came in, it was really rough. I'll never forget, like, when I first tricked my mom and she saw it, she was like, I'm so proud of you. She started crying. I even got emotional. I was like, I told you, Mom, I'm gonna make you proud. She hugging me, I'm hugging her. We got like a breakthrough. And you're probably wondering, like, Jeremy, why were you crying? Like, you didn't really earn all A's and 2 B's. Well, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a failure. Like, I actually felt successful, like worthy, like I felt like I was good enough. And so that was a bit of an emotional moment. But it wasn't real because I didn't really earn those grades. Now, when my school sent my real report card home and my mom saw it, she was in denial. My baby made A's and B's. So she called the school. I was like, oh, hang up the phone, Mama, hang up the phone. And again, she's in tears. But now what was once tears of joy, now it's tears of sorrow, tears of pain, tears of frustration. And she's trying to figure out, like, I wish my baby would just get it together, and I was so hurt, but I felt stuck. I was depressed. I was tired. I was struggling. I felt like I was an accident. Like, what's the purpose of life? Like, why am I here? I felt like I couldn't fit in. When it was time to read, I didn't want to read because somebody was going to tease me because I wasn't a good reader. We was always getting into fights. People was bullying me. Then there was a time when I was the bully. Like, I just struggled, and I was like, what's the point of it all? And my mom's a great mom, so she moved me to another school. So now I'm at the school now called Huntsville High. This is my 3rd school for the 9th grade. Now I'm at this new school, and I don't know how to explain it to you, but I got a group of teachers, I felt like they were weird. They were saying stuff like, Jeremy, we believe in you. I'm like, me? One teacher was like, oh yeah, Jeremy Anderson, up top my man, this is gonna be the best year ever. I'm like, okay. One teacher, I had to ask him, I was like, wait a second, y'all are way too enthusiastic. Did y'all get my transcripts? Like, y'all got the right Jeremy? They was like, yep, we got the right Jeremy, but you're in a new season now. So you don't have to worry about the past. I was like, yeah, but you do know about last year? Yep. I said, this is my 3rd school. They was like, we're not worried about that again, Jeremy. You're in a new season now. So let's not bring old things into a new season. And they began to speak life to me. They began to encourage me. They began to affirm me. And because I was young and I was immature, I kind of felt like, well, you don't really understand my story. You don't come from where I come from. And I'll try to build a wall up. But you know what knocked that wall down? It's love. You know what knocked that wall down? It was perseverance. You know what knocked that wall down? It was like unwavering commitment and support. And I realized you can be black, white, purple, blue, green. We need each other. And if you're showing up because you believe in me and you see great things inside me, like maybe, just maybe I can do great things. Your mindset, your belief system is everything. And it is so powerful. And so I came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to tell you, you were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were here for a reason. I know you're going through some hard times. I know life at times might feel rough, or you might feel weird, or things might be frustrating, but it's not going to always be like this. Your condition is not your conclusion. There is so much more that's going to take place. There is so much more power that's inside you. If you make up in your mind, I choose to believe that I can do great things. And I promise you, my young friends, I got to a point in life when I was like, man, I got these teachers. They must really care. Like when you start having teachers that get diagnosed with cancer, but they still show up to school. One of my teachers had arthritis so bad, she couldn't even write on the chalkboard. Other teacher was going through a divorce. Another one that just buried her child. I'm looking at all these teachers that's going through life just like you, just like me, but they kept showing up. So something inside my brain said, maybe I am worth it. Something inside me said, maybe I can do great things. For them to jump through all these hoops and go out of their way to kind of connect with me, for them to make these sacrifices, maybe it is possible for me. It's the same way with you. Sometimes I go back to like being that little boy in the hallway that ever heard that teacher tell my mom that I wasn't high school material. Then I have to remind myself like, no. That's not true. I am that. I can do that. I can achieve that. Sometimes I have to remind myself, what am I telling you? Like life can be hard, life can be rough, but there's something special and there's something powerful about the human mind and about the human spirit and about the human will when you tell yourself, I won't give up, I won't surrender, I won't quit. I'm going to show up every single day and do the best that I can. And here's the beautiful thing about you is while you're going through your process and while you're trying to navigate these waters, and while you're still, trying to tweak some stuff within yourself, you still got the power to save somebody else's life. You got the power to speak up for others. You got the power to be the voice of reason for someone who might be on the verge of doing something they shouldn't do. You have the power to brighten somebody's day. Your words are powerful. Your energy is powerful. And so I don't want you all to think that you have to have it all together and everything for you has to be perfect in order for you to be a leader. No. You can make an impact. You can make a difference. You can save somebody's life right now by you just being unapologetically you, and you walking in that calling, and you speak life, and you affirm, and you let others know I see you and I'm with you and I got your back and you're not by yourself, and I will hold your hand as you go throughout this journey. And even though I'm struggling, I don't mind fighting on behalf of you, and we're going to figure this thing out together. Key word, together. We're going to figure this thing out together. There's something beautiful about us having that mindset of us being together. You know what I'm saying? Not black, white, Asian, Hispanic, not Republican, Democrat, independent, not gay or straight, not like male or female, like us coming together saying, man, we are human, we are here. And I believe that there is more that makes us together. There is more than we have in common than we have that's not in common. And I believe that our differences is what makes us so doggone amazing. Our differences. Think about that, right? Like there is so many amazing things, and there are so many different amazing personalities, and there is nobody else on this planet exactly like you. So I believe then we make a decision to say, you know what, we will come together as a people. We will come together as a nation. We will come together as a state. We will come together as a city. We will come together as a district. We will come together as a school. We will come together as a grade. We will come together as a class, and we will value each other. We will speak life to one another, and we will help each other go to that next level. You know what? I'm not just a student, you know what I'm saying, that just happened to me in this grade. I'm not just here at this school. I'm here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And you got to tell yourself, man, I feel like I've been pushed down in the dirt. I feel like people have been stumping on me. I feel like stuff has been raining on me. But you didn't realize this, my young friends. You was just a seed. So you got to tell yourself, no. I haven't been pushed down in the dirt, and I haven't been stumped on. I've been planted, and I've been placed in this pot for a reason. And we are at this arena here to be able to have a conversation to say, what does it look like to go to that next level? level. And so I need you all to do the same thing. When you leave here, if you feel like you're in a weird place, if you feel stuck, if you feel like, you know what, I just feel like I need some help, you get the help you need. That's how you show how strong and how bold and how powerful you are. What's the next app that you're going to create? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I wonder, like, you know what I'm saying, are you going to come up with a cure for Alzheimer's, dementia? Are you going to come up, you know what I'm saying, with something that can purify water for people across the globe? Are you going to create the next app that can connect us? Are you going to be the next teacher or superintendent? Are you going to be the next leader in our community? Like I be wondering sometimes, like, what are the great things that you're going to accomplish? And there are times when I look at what's happening in the world, and I'm a bit discouraged. I got a 7-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old baby boy. Sometimes I look at the crazy stuff that's happening in this world, and I'm like, man, what kind of world am I raising my kids in? But then I'm encouraged because I get to come to events like this, and I get to look in your faces and connect with you. And I have no doubt that there's great things inside you and that you're going to experience some amazing things inside your life if you make a decision to say, I'm going to speak up, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to save a life. If you tell yourself, I will be a leader. If you tell yourself, I'm going to show up every single day at my school and I'm going to go above and beyond, because there are some kids in some different countries, in some different places that wish they had the opportunity to be at my school, to have floors and lights, you know what I'm saying, and screens and technology. I've been some places, my young friends, where I've walked in some schools in some different countries doing some volunteer work, and I'm seeing the facilities they in. I've met some kids that would love to come here and be able to go to a school that has a gym, or be able to go to a school that has AC, or to be able to go to a school that has desks, or to be able to go to school where they get their own books. And then some of y'all tablets and all these extra things. We are so privileged. What do we do with this opportunity that we have? I want to challenge you to make the most of it, to speak life, to love, to encourage, to wrap your arms around those who are struggling, and you let them know, you know what, you're not in this by yourself. What we're not going to do is we're not going to quit. What we're not going to do is we're not going to surrender. What we're not going to do is we're going to just, you know what I'm saying, just stay in this place. We knew that eventually things would change. Like eventually it's going to turn around for my good, and we'll be stronger from it, and we'll be better equipped, and this will make us better people. Now, you can't always control what happens to you, my friends, but you can control how you respond to it.
This cereal is delicious. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, good morning, folks. The 8:15 has been delayed. The 8:15 has been cancelled. Replacement bus services are available.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Come on, give me 5. Amazing. Great driving.